Hey out there, this is Friday, May 26th, 2017, and it's just about 10:35 exactly in the morning here in Northern California. And I got to watch how high I play my music because I know that YouTube censored one of my videos. They muted it because I played a song too loud. I think it was The Animals, It's My Life. And so I got to watch my step here if I'm serious about being heard on YouTube. So anyhow, today I wanted the theme to be, well, of course I'm going to run the gamut, but current events, talking points, epiphanies, stuff like that. But I really what's been on my mind is just really how seemingly hopeless the state of affairs is for humanity. And and you know pondering what it's going to take to extricate ourselves from our problems to effectively turn the ship around, to effectively get the train on another track. And what I mean by that is, again, everything comes back to social, political, economic progress. And all we've made my entire life is anti progress, a substitute for progress. We've regressed, we've gone backwards in terms of the standard of living, social, political, economic progress. And the obstacles are many that have been thrown in our way, but primarily it's division and confusion and ignorance and honesty also, because so many people refuse to accept their culpability in the mess we're in because of fear, because they feel a need to rationalize. We're all been trained to be money lovers, and at the end of the day, everything comes down to money. Everything is about money. Okay, that's our world. It ought not be that way. Nevertheless, if we're really being honest, we will admit that it is that way. And that the direction that we're going, this trajectory toward ever increasing debt, toward ever increasing wealth disparity, is untenable. Okay, anybody that's even remotely honest. So we all have to ask, how important is any one person at this point? I mean, all we can do is what we can do to try to enlighten people so that they become empowered with the knowledge and they come out of ignorance, they come out of confusion and into empowerment. But what does that mean? Once you've got the power of that knowledge of knowing that right from wrong and understanding that this all comes down to biblically speaking, as a believer in Jesus Christ and a believer in God and all this, and I accept all the faiths. If they're monotheistic and they believe there's one God, okay, then it's all the same philosophy basically. And what it means is that I'm talking about Jesus economics. Okay, that's what we're shooting for. And anybody that stands in the way of full-on egalitarian politics. Egalitarian is a term that society has great reticence to popularizing because it is so succinct. And if people understood, because a lot of people don't even know the word to this day, I ask people, if they know what the word is, I'll tell them I'm an egalitarian. And they don't seem to understand that. But I mean, clearly, the God of the Bible, okay, if the God of the Bible was running our economic affairs, not only in America but around the world, it would be profoundly and dramatically different. So much so that it'd be about 180 degrees from how it is. And to the best of my understanding, how it would be is an understanding from birth that we were trained in cosmic terms, not in the terms of the artificial, man-made, invented terms that we are inducted into at birth. That we're told, no, you have this great tax on your life if you want to live. It's called a cost of living to live. So it's not God that imposed this tax, this cost, this burden on us from birth. It was the money masters, this illegitimate gaggle of merciless thugs that really, at this point in history, wants, and they make no bones about it, they want the vast majority of Americans killed. Not just Americans, but human beings. So we've got to understand what we're up against here, and it's a big deal. So, no, our reality is an extremely, extraordinarily, profoundly, acutely, ungodly, artificial, synthetic, wholly synthetic, invented scheme. That's all it is. That's what our so-called reality. It's all based on money. This magical power, okay, that we've all been trained to believe is absolutely indispensable. I mean, everybody needs money. Everybody loves money. You've got to have money. You can't live without money. This is the cost of living. And we decide it in terms of money with no intrinsic value. I mean, it's got nothing to do with bartering, nothing like that. Nothing, facilitate exchange. That's all they've got to say. It's utilitarian, right? It makes sense. It's practical. It's pragmatic to use money. But that's all they've got. So it makes a guy like me come off as very irrational, very illogical, very much a pipe dreamer, because there's very few people like me out there. Okay, I don't hear them. I listen to all the guests on Alex Jones' show. Okay, and I don't hear a lot of people talking the way I do. And I don't know why. I don't understand it. And I'm nothing special. Certainly no better than anybody else. I'm certainly not that intelligent, I don't think. Okay, but we're all genius in our own special ways. So maybe in that sense I am genius. Although I just don't see it like that. I see it as a matter of honesty. And that's what it really comes down to, is just being honest. Okay? Just saying, yes, I am willing that every other human being on the face of the earth had equality. Okay? That's it. That I am not going to be the boss of anybody. Okay? That I'm going to leave it to every man and woman's conscience to dictate what they do for me or not do for me, or society. Okay? How we serve one another. What we trade. Okay? That's a trade. You learn a trade, right? You learn to give something. Something like a teacher learns to teach. That's very valuable, right? That's productivity. If you're a teacher, you're giving of yourself, and you're producing an educated student that knows how to read and write and knows arithmetic and all this kind of stuff. It'd be nice if they threw some ethics in there, because this is what's wholly lacking in our society. In fact, it's a kind of a silent understanding from our educational society that this is just irrelevant. Look, if you want to succeed, you've got to put morals, ethics, conscience on the back burner. Because what's fundamentally most important, that you go out and you make a lot of bread, right? That's it. It's about your numbers. You can't worry about, the cost of living going up. You just worry about your own numbers, okay? You get a good guild, okay, a good union, or something like that. You're in with a special interest group, the plumbers union, and it's all regulated so that, it's hard for other people to get in, because they got the bureaucracies are protecting them with this licensing and all these, and while other industries, there's no protection for them. There's no, so there's no chance. I mean, it's just totally imbalanced. It doesn't make any sense. Our society is completely out of whack, okay? It's just fraud heaped upon fraud, and it's untenable. Who can deny our society is untenable, the direction it's going? But are we honest enough to understand what it's going to take to turn it around, to get to the root of the problem, which is the money masters? These people that just own the copyright to the money. That power is of satanic nature and quality. That's what it is. When you've got that kind of power for no good reason at all, just because you've got paper and ink and printing presses, and you've got a license from the government. Who is the government? It's we the people. So it's illegitimate. The whole thing is fraud. It's all fraudulent. The entire establishment is based on fraud. That's it. And we're not a democracy. We're not a republic. When you've got what happened in 2008, okay, right under our noses, okay, 90+% of the American people were opposed to that banking bailout, okay? And now at this point in my life, I'm supposed to get over it. That was a long time ago, man. That was almost a decade ago. Forget about it and just get on with your life. But do people understand the implications of doing so and just accepting this debt? Whose back is it falling on, okay? It's killing people. This is not funny stuff. It's killing people. It's ensuring we have a plenty high crime rate. We've got lots of suicide, people killing themselves. They're not making families because they can't afford to have families. Plenty of abortions, therefore. And we can get into dubious war because guys need a job and they like the benefits and perks and all that, that the military offers them. I understand. And, I'm not going to detract from these people. My dad was a Marine. I tried to join the National Guard on the morning of 9/11. So, I could easily have been fighting, shoulder to shoulder with any other National Guardsman in the country if I had been accepted, but I was too old at 43. So I'm not trying to take away from anybody here. The crime, the criminal industrial complex, okay, all the people employed there, and I'm not trying to take away from law enforcement. These jobs are important for now, but it's a paradox, okay, because when we start solving the problems and we get on a new track and the ship has really turned around, people have to understand that it's going to be painful for some people, okay, because many people benefit by having what others don't have. And there's a term for it. I've written it down because I can't remember it. But it has to do with having what others don't, okay? And people, when you have what they have, then what they have doesn't feel so special anymore. So if you were prosperous, okay, if instead of your neighbor being your landlord, let's say, that now you own your own home and he's out a tenant, okay, so he's got to go hunt another tenant. It becomes more competitive. You understand what's going to happen? It's going to drive down the cost of housing. And this is antithetical to what landlords want, right? Especially if they bought at the high end of the market and they've got a huge nut to crack, a huge mortgage to pay. They're trying to pass it off to you. They're trying to be like Rich Dad, okay? And they want to just, parlay it and just keep buying more and borrow other people's money as much as they can and just keep jacking up the rent. It's all about that and getting Section 8 people in there. So you get these government subsidies that have been exacerbating the problem immensely. And whose pocket does that money, when you put it through the sluice, whose pockets does it end up in? You can blame the welfare recipients all day, but it's going in Rich Dad's pockets. All those investors. I hear Jerome Corsi. He's the press liaison for Infowars at the White House, and he's all up in arms about investors. So he's representing special interest groups already, and I don't know how much Alex Jones understands about this stuff, but investing doesn't help everybody, okay? It's very selective, and that's the problem with this. It's just like that. Why do you think people are against gentrification? What do you think, socialists don't have a good argument? I mean, I'm disgusted by people that call themselves conservatives, and I'm disgusted by people that call themselves liberals. I'm also I am enamored by people that call themselves conservatives and enamored by people that call themselves liberals. It doesn't matter. These are just words that people bandy about. And really, at the end of the day, we've got to stop and have a conversation about the specific definition of terms. And are we for real? Are we just being honest? Do we really want progress in the land? Or do we really want the American precepts and principles of the Constitution to prevail and to progress? Okay, which means we've got to become a more equal society. And it all has to do with money. This is where your social welfare comes in. This is where your political welfare comes in. This is where your monetary, your economic welfare comes in. Okay, and if you're making progress, then it's getting more fair. That means the disparity is getting less. The division that's been created is becoming less. So there's less chance of any kind of class warfare. That whole spirit, that whole attitude starts dissipating. We've got to understand, if we're serious about fixing problems, we've got to really be honest with ourselves and what's entailed, not intellectual. Okay, that's not what it's about. It's just about being honest and saying, look, we got to take the bull by the horns, wake up, smell the steaming, rotten pile of dog crap that has become of our nation, how it has divided us, how it's made all our lives miserable. Believe me, we're all getting our share of misery. We are inextricably interconnected on a psychic level, okay, psychologically, Okay, we know the Manchester bombing at the Grande concert and all this, and how 20 tweenies were killed. I mean, or 20 plus and maimed, and it's horrible. I mean, it's just horrific. So how do we stop the hatred? Okay, you've got to do what you believe is most effective in fighting the good fight, but you're honest, and you will not stand before me to answer. You will stand before your owner, your creator, God Almighty, someday. I'm trying to do what I believe is most effective. How to stop the hatred. Okay. So if our reality was a godly, like I said, before I went on this rant about this, is that I'm talking about Jesus economics, biblical economics here, okay? And every good faith and every person that was really of that faith would have to agree that is the world we must gravitate to. We must understand what we're looking